This is Ben from the Fray. May the rock be with you. Hey, how's it going?
Good mate, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Are you
Good
driving and
morning.
doing this?
I'm in the passenger seat.
Ah,
Yeah.
that'll do it.
Yeah. No, I don't drive in Zoom.
I was going to say that would have been a first.
How are you?
Good
It's
mate, good.
early
Ben,
for you, huh?
welcome to May the Rock Be With You. Thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, of course. Thanks for having me.
It's been a long time since I've spoken to someone from the Fray. I spoke to Dave, I think, back in 2012, so it's a little while.
Yeah, that's been a minute for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
But we're here because you're headed back to Australia this December, so that's very, very exciting. 20 years of How to Save a Life. Can you give us
Yeah.
an idea on how these shows are going to shape up set-wise?
Yeah, obviously the focus of the show by the time we get down there is going to be celebrating the anniversary of that first album. And so we're going to dig into that album a little deeper than we have in recent years and relearn some songs we haven't played in a long time.
Yep.
And honestly, we're really excited. We're excited now at this stage to like reinterpret or at least just reapproach some of those old songs and to get the opportunity to bring them back on stage again. So that'll be the majority of the show.
Mm.
And then also by the time we get down there, we're hoping to have some more new music out that we'll be bringing on stage as well.
Nice. We'll get to that shortly. When you go back and revisit songs and you go back and look at the album from 20 years ago, is there anything you go back and look at and go, oh, well, no, it doesn't hold up from 20 years ago? You know what I mean? Or is it you go, my God, this is amazing.
More generally than not, uh, it feels like looking at a picture of yourself when you were really young and it's a little embarrassing. That's generally how it feels. But that said, that album grew uh, to have a life of its own to such an extent that it almost feels like it is its own thing now that we are interacting with in the same way that everybody else is. And we feel grateful for that. So if you frame it in that context, then sure, there's a lot about it that feels embarrassing because we were young, but at the same time, it is what it is, and we're grateful for it.
Yeah.
And we just feel like now it's our responsibility to do it justice all these years later.
Excellent. I love this. Now, has been a little bit since you've been down to Australia. Do you have a great memory of a previous trip down here?
So many, yeah. We've had some really great times there. I early in our like when we were young kids starting the band, I never would have dreamt that it would take us anywhere, much less like to Australia. We're like, oh my gosh. And over the course of our career, like multiple trips we've taken down there, I have like multiple places saved in my Google Maps of like certain destinations. Like there's a restaurant in Sydney called Il Porteño, I think.
Mhm.
That's like a steakhouse. And I remember you mentioned Dave. One time we had a day off in Sydney, and Dave and I went to the steakhouse and had just like one of the most memorable meals ever. And we were like, oh my gosh, I don't even know if that place is still there, but
I don't
we
know.
loved it. Everything from that to like, there's a brewery in Perth called Little Creatures. I don't
Yeah.
know if you've ever had Little Creatures beer. Like, yeah, so every time we're in Perth, we'd go to Little Creatures. And then there's a coffee shop in Melbourne that we try to get to every time. Now, we haven't been there in, 13 years, so it's probably changed a little bit. But yeah, we have some great memories of our times down there for sure.
So you're actually coming on tour just to go and eat and drink. You're not going to play shows or anything. You're just coming down and hang out, right?
Yeah, that's the only reason the Fray goes on tour. Yes, is to
I
eat and
love
drink.
this. Now,
Yeah.
I always like asking this question, and from your perspective, it's going to be very interesting, actually. We get to see you guys up on stage, but after so long doing this, what's your favorite thing from behind the drums to see from the stage looking at the crowd?
Yeah, it is interesting because I think I have a different, obviously not just literal perspective, but the singer at the front of the stage is maybe hyper focused on the delivery of what they're doing and they're facing the audience directly, whereas I feel like I'm one layer removed. I can kind of hide behind the kid a little bit and just observe. And honestly, it sounds a little cheesy, but my favorite thing is just to observe people and their reaction to the music because it feels like such a gift that after all these years we can still play these songs for people that mean so much to them, and it never gets old, like watching them have their own experience. And that's what it is now. The Our fans have their own life with our music, their own memories with our music that almost has nothing to do with us anymore. And so we get on stage and just provide them the opportunity to relive a memory, to celebrate or to mourn somebody they've lost or that they've gained or whatever. There's just like so much life that has happened in these people with our music. We feel honored by that.
Excellent answer. Now, I want to talk about change within the band because having Joe take the front man position, how much adjustment did it take for you guys to become comfortable with that happening?
Yeah, it was an interesting process because it there obviously was a lot of adjustment needed, logistically, emotionally, but at the same time, it felt like a really natural evolution. When Isaac left the band, we talked a lot
Mm.
about what direction we wanted to take the band and how we wanted to do things. And it got to the point where we kind of were just talking ourselves in circles and over theorizing what could be. And we got to the point where the three of us, Joe and Dave and I, just said, like, well, we just need to start doing something.
Mm.
Let's just get on stage, see how this goes. And for Joe to slide over into the lead singer position felt like the most natural evolution. Now, it's been a huge process for him. I think if you were to ask him, it's been a big thing for him to undergo. But being a formidable one of the principal members, it made total sense for anybody else to be singing the songs, but Isaac, it makes total sense for Joe to be doing it. But yeah, being a three piece is way different
Mm.
dynamically, relationally than being a four piece. So I think that's been the biggest shift is just figuring out how to interact with each other now as a shape of three.
All
But
right.
but it's exciting and yeah, it's an ever growing process for sure.
Was there ever a discussion in getting in a new singer rather than having him step up?
Yeah, that was the first idea. Yep. And we talked about even like certainly bands have done it where they hold auditions and a stranger that maybe they saw on YouTube or whatever. Or we talked about maybe partnering up with an artist that was already known and doing the Fray featuring so and so kind of
Mm.
scenario. But the more we talked about it, I think the biggest thing was that we still felt like there was life to the band as far as music goes, new music goes. So there were a million different ways we could have played shows without Isaac, but it felt like it was bigger than that, and it was more about what does the new what does this new season of life look like for the band in all ways, not just how do we play a show without this guy that's been there, but how do we make new music? What's the shape of all of this want to be? So I think that's what pointed us more towards the shift being internal.
Yeah, very cool. Let's go back to 2005 when you released the album. You couldn't get away from songs like Over My Head and the title track. When things were taking off in a big way for you guys, how did your life change?
uh in all ways.
All of them.
Yeah, just man, simply put, it was I think I was 20. Yeah, I was 20 when all of that happened. And so I luckily we were young and naive enough to like just be able to mold to what was happening and bend with it. And like I think now, if we were to experience that, it's like who knows, you can't theorize. But yeah, like life, nothing about life looked the same.
Wow.
um and there was a lot to it, but we felt so grateful. It's like what an incredible opportunity. It's something that we dreamt of, and without knowing what it could look like, it was all of our dreams. And it honestly was, it did feel like a dream come true, which was wild.
Excellent. That's so good. Now, in terms of new music, The Fray is Back is the most amazing title for anything. It's like, oh, here we are, we're back. Now, some excellent tunes on that too. This was just the start, like you said. When can we expect more? Are we talking albums? Are we talking another EP? What are we talking?
Yeah, we're not sure. We're currently working on new music, so
Mm.
we've got a handful of songs we're working on now. We used to think that to make a new album meant we had to go away and disappear for a year or two. Um, and then we'd emerge with an album that then we toured for a couple years. But I think a lot's changed in us personally
Mm.
and in the industry that allows for a more constant flow of being creative and then getting back out on stage and playing a show, going in the studio. So all year we're going to be weaving in between all of that. And if there's a song that we're ready to record, then we'll head in and record it and have it in the back pocket. And we might release some singles. We
Mm.
might build towards another EP. If we have all of the songs for it, then maybe it'll take shape as a full length. We're not sure yet. Right now, we're just focusing on when there's material to record, we'll do it. And we're chasing the songs as they come.
Yeah.
And we're going to see where that leads.
Excellent. How has the creating process changed, if in any way, without Isaac involved now?
Yeah, it's changed a ton. You know, when Joe and Dave and I play together, there's a lot that's recognizable because we know each other so well. We've been doing this for so long together that the type of melody Joe would sing over my drum part, he has the similar tendency that he would have 18 years ago. But at the same time, I think it being a triangle now and not a square means we're doing it differently. And I think the conversations we're having are different. We mean something different to each other as people because, like, and this is just the dynamic of a brotherhood in a band where we got used to doing things a certain way when there were four of us because two could break off and the other two could break
Yeah.
off or and that's not true anymore. So we're learning how to re-engage, but it's cool because we're forced to be purposeful in how we do things. There's no more autopilot. It certainly got to a stage towards the end of our time with Isaac in the band where it did feel pretty autopilot, like we were kind of just cruising. And now it's quite literally the opposite. Like everything we do, we're engaging in a new capacity, and it's kind of wakening a lot up in us, which is good. Yeah.
Excellent. That's good to hear. Now, let's look back over your career because it can be very easy to say what can change over time. That's easy. What's the one thing, though, that's always remained the same about the Fray?
Whoa. Um, man, I don't know. That's a good best question today. Uh, I think that we have always had this sense that from very early on in the band, because of the success that not only the first album had, but the first song we released, Over My Head, like the very first single we ever released was pretty successful. And so from the get-go, our music, um, like I was saying earlier, like grew to have a life of its own. And it felt like from the beginning we were serving it, and it grew beyond us and bigger than us. And so I think that's one thing that feels familiar. Like when we engage with this band now, 20 years later, with all the life that's changed, relationships that have changed within the band, outside of the band, managers that have changed, everything. It's like I that's the maybe the one thing that feels the same is we are still serving this thing that's bigger than us. The Fray is like another entity that we're responsible to and that we get to experience, which is pretty cool.
Excellent. And I mean, it wouldn't have hurt having your song on Grey's Anatomy for a little bit either, would it?
No, yeah, I would recommend that to anybody who's thinking of starting out. Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
if there was ever a documentary or a biopic kind of thing to be made about the Fray, what would you want it to be called?
Oh wow. Um, I don't know. I would maybe like something along the lines of when we named the band, we just thought the phrase sounded cool. But quite literally, I feel like this band is always on the verge of some kind of mess. And there's always a little bit of conflict. There's always a little bit of friction. And that's actually created some really good energy. So On the verge of a mess, maybe. I don't
I
know.
like that. That's brilliant. I think that's really cool. Now, after over 20 years as a band, what's on your list of things to do that you'd love to do that you haven't yet had the chance to do?
Yeah. We turned down Saturday Night Live here in the
Why?
States.
Why?
Exactly. I think it was a scheduling conflict. Like we literally had like a show that weekend or something stupid. And now we look back on that. And I think Lorne Michaels blacklisted us, because he's like, well, they said no. So we've never been asked back. I'd love to play SNL. We have some friends. These are both very American answers, but I have some friends playing Madison Square Garden tonight.
Mm,
Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats. I don't know if you know of them or if they've
yep.
made their way down there. They're good friends of ours from Denver, and I just saw on Instagram today that their MSG shows today, and that's another kind of bucket list thing. We've played it, but not on our own show.
Mm,
Um, and yeah, as cheesy as it sounds, I feel like being able to have an international touring career is such a privilege. So, like for us to have been able to get to Australia at all or play music in another country, much less return time and time again, is like such a privilege. So it's like it really is a bucket list thing. It's like not only like play in Australia, but like continue to return to Australia. It's like surreal. Yeah, we're so pumped.
that's awesome, man. Now, lastly, let's look ahead to the future with a prediction. So I want you to finish this sentence for me. By the end of 2025, the Fray will.
Um, have a new album
There you go. Album. Good.
and will be tired.
That's
Yeah,
every day. Everyone's tired
need a
every day.
nap. Yeah.
That's awesome. Ben, thank you so much for your time today, mate. That was great. I can't wait to see you guys down here in Sydney. It's going to be an absolute ball.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Troy. You're in Sydney
Yeah, man.
proper?
Yeah.
Awesome.
All
Yeah,
right.
we can't wait to get back down there. And thanks so much for your time today.
No worries, man. I'll talk to you then. See you later.
Okay. See ya.
Bye. Thank you for checking out our interview with Ben from The Fray. Don't forget to catch them in Australia and like and subscribe to May the Rock be with you on YouTube. Lots more interviews, lots more things to check out.